Welcome, friends, to our Insights podcast. This will be our last podcast for the year, December 2025, and we'll be reviewing the major political and security events in the Philippines in the last 12 months, and we will also discuss the recent announcement by President Donald Trump on the national security strategy, which will affect the Philippines and greater Indo-Pacific region. So for tonight's podcast, we will be joined by our good friends from Washington, D.C., Mr. Rodney Haleco, former ABS-CBN defense supporter, and Colonel Dencio Acop, who is now in Australia for a visit. So let's welcome the two. And guys, good evening. And kumusta kayo dyan sa lugar nyo?
Good evening,
Good
Manny.
evening. Good evening, Manny.
Colonel.
Okay naman.
Yeah.
Okay naman.
Good evening,
Okay.
Randy. Yeah. Okay naman.
So we can start
Mainit
by
lang.
reviewing the biggest political events in the Philippines. No? Let's start with the arrest of former President Rodrigo Duterte in March when he came back from Hong Kong, and he was brought hours later to The Hague, no? Where he faces a crimes against humanity before the International Criminal Court. And up to now, there is still no trial because his lawyers were delaying and trying to question the jurisdiction. And the biggest story now in The Hague is that on December 6, the ICC commissioned three medical experts to test whether the former president is fit to face trial in the ICC. And the results were given December 6th, and his lawyers and prosecutors were given until Friday, December 12th, to make comments. So we're awaiting the results of the medical tests on President Duterte, and we find out whether he is fit to stand trial. Uh, anyway, apart from that, the biggest story is the corruption cases in the Philippines, where President Ferdinand Marcos exposed in July that there are so many flood control projects that were substandard or non-existent. And this has triggered widespread rumors of a destabilization attempt by the military and anti-Duterte and anti-Marcos forces. But so far, the president is surviving the biggest test of his administration. But we will await because there are still investigation linking his cousin, former Speaker Martin Romualdez, and many congressmen and some senators in the corruption scandal. Uh, on the security front, of course, the Chinese illegal, coercive, aggressive, and dangerous activities in the South China Sea and in the West Philippine Sea, in the part of the Philippine waters, are still ongoing. And recently, I think on Saturday, Chinese Coast Guard sprayed water cannons on Filipino fishermen fishing in Escoda Shoal. So the Philippine Coast Guard sent two ships to rescue the Filipinos, and three are reportedly injured in the incident. Uh, so, Colonel and Rodney, I think the best discussion tonight is whether uh, President Trump's newly minted national security strategy will affect the Philippines, because in the 29-page document, there was no mention of the Philippines. Only Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea, and First Island chain. However, the Philippines is part of the chain, and there was also mention of South China Sea, but there was no mention of the Philippines in the study. What do you think, Colonel? Is it deliberate, or the Trump team just missed the Philippines in their 29-page document?
Oo nga eh. From from what I have read about the 20 ano ba yun, 2025 National Security Strategy, di ba, ni
Yes.
President. I've, the most interesting that I saw was the one, the analysis made by the Brookings Institution. Maraming mga nag-contribute ng mga analyst doon eh. And it's you can probably say na there are pluses as well as minuses dun sa mga in the content of that document. And while there are some pluses daw, I personally I it's hard for me to see what those pluses are kasi parang incoherent eh. In essence or in totality, it's a bit incoherent para sa akin the NSS, because there's so many conflicting statements. For example, yung foreign policy of pacifism, but there's also a lot of things that are going on now, like the bombardment of boats in the Caribbean, in the and the target is Venezuela, ganyan. So there's a lot of contradiction as well as of course the although there's a lot of peace initiatives and much of it nga daw is parang weirdly centered personally on President Trump, which is parang medyo unstatesmanlike, parang nagiging personal na yung mga dealings ng Amerika sa iba-ibang bansa, even its allies. For example, even in Ukraine, it's that peace deal is benefiting mostly Russia. And it's a violation of the existing rule of law. So parang sinasabi na while the US sometimes supports the rule of law, for example, in international sea lane navigation through the South China Sea, but at the same time, parang okay din sa kanila yung yung ginagawa ng Russia in essence, no, with that peace deal that greatly favors Russia over Ukraine. It's like that's a big shift. Kasi parang mo sinabi na, the rule of law is no longer in effect. Parang countries can actually now, invade again, rewrite national boundaries, and it's okay. So there's a lot of that going on. It also says na talaga bang the document is like signaling to the world na wala na. The US is also giving up its dominant superpower status. It seems to be okay with what China and Russia want. Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin want na, okay, you are the power in your region, so we respect that, be that. We won't probably do anything to counter that. And same with us. So the NSS, di ba, is focused on the Western Hemisphere. So we're almost seeing na parang naghati-hati na yung Russia, China, and US. Sige, Western Hemisphere, ako magfo-focus ngayon. China, sige. Although I'm still trying to protect our interests in the Indo-Pacific, pero at the same time, parang di ba? Parang US is more interested in balancing its power base with China. Parang gano'n eh. Same with Europe. There's a lot of rhetoric na kahit na nilalambas ni President Trump ang mga NATO partners, but at the same time, NATO is mentioned 48 times in the document. And the Philippines is mentioned once. So it seems to me, there's also a lot of, yung economic, one thing that I can think about that is that probably medyo tampo ng konti yung Amerika dahil hindi binili ng Pilipinas yung one eh. Yung binibenta ni Secretary Hegseth na na F-16 or what, di ba? Siguro
yeah.
kung gino ng Pilipinas yun, palagay ko, I'm pretty sure the Philippines would be there on that document. Ganun kababaw yung Amerika ngayon eh. That's what I'm trying to say.
Masyadong mahal, sir. Parang yung price tag ng F-16 is already in the entire budget of the Defense Department.
Yun na nga eh. For whatever reason, parang yung Amerika kasi ngayon under the Donald Trump, parang wala kaming pakialam. Parang problema nyo yan. Parang basta kung kailangan nyo ng tulong namin, ganito, dapat yung sinasabi namin. Pagbigyan nyo kami, gano'n, di ba? Parang gano'n eh. Gawin nyo ng paraan, gano'n. That's the thing. Now, nung sinabi na negative, that's my take, and it's not far-fetched yung analysis na gano'n na medyo mababaw yung mga ano. It's not far-fetched with the present American administration because that is the leadership of Donald Trump. As you can see from the news alone, ang dami-dami mga kinagagawa ni Donald Trump that doesn't make sense eh. It's unstatesmanlike, it's not in the US interest. Biruin mo, number one sa mga ano nila ngayon, immigration, you know, now we have, I think, a administration that is against states, against immigrants in America. Mga ganun na yung issue. Sila yung kalaban, hindi na yung, not so much really China or Russia. Parang ganun eh. So yeah, medyo malabo.
So Rodney, is this the new world order under Donald Trump?
Baka exaggerated naman kung world order, no? Kasi mukhang this is a very ang basa ko kasi it's a limited document actually eh. Kasi it defines yung basically it defines yung security objectives ng Trump administration, no? And the overall impression is that America is withdrawing, no? The RSS, the NSS rather, says that it will concentrate basically in America's backyard, no? Yung Caribbean, the Latin American region. They want to focus more of the military there, no? Which is actually what's happening now. And it's been described, this Trump security strategy has been described as a parang it's his version of the Monroe Doctrine, you know, which is basically an imperialist. If we look at it, it's an imperialist document. So that was the time when America really became a world power, no? Using the Monroe Doctrine na sinasabi. So, medyo tama nga kaya ako na medyo ambiguous. It's even contradictory if you look at it. For one, it professes to focus on the Chinese threat, but never in that document was China mentioned. No? It mentioned South Korea, it mentioned Japan, mentioned Ukraine, but no mention of China, which is, I think, from what I saw, the Chinese welcomed it kasi parang it's an indication that President Trump is going to be more circumspect as far as confronting China, no? In fact, there were reports that this national security strategy, the release of this document, was delayed because Treasury Secretary Bessent requested it because he was in the middle of tariff negotiations with China, apparently the president agreed. So this was delayed. This was actually supposed to come out earlier this year, no? Because it was already ready. But since they wanted to get a little further with negotiations with China, which is basically money, no? They're talking about money. So it's not about security. It's not about the South China Sea, man. It's about money. And ito yung isang sinasabi nila, one more element of this Trump security strategy. It's basically economic. It looks for transactions. So it's the security aspect could take second fiddle to the economic aspect. That's why money. Just the other day, President Zelensky submitted a counter offer. No, he submitted his own counter offer for a peace settlement in Ukraine to the White House, and a key portion of that is his proposal to create a free economic zone in Donbas. No, ito yung target ni Putin talaga in Donbas, because where all the minerals, the oil, the factories of
The
Ukraine.
industrial region.
It's the economic anchor of the nation. Now, parang sinasabi ni Zelensky, kung di namin makuha to, kung di namin mabawi to, neither should Putin, no? Neither should Putin get it. So, he's giving it to Trump. Sabi niya, you create the economic zone here where US companies can come in, they can run the industries there, and that will indirectly be the security guarantee against further Russian attacks. No? Kasi Putin will not dare attack yung kung meron ng mga US interest. Mga US businesses. No? Putin would not dare attack. So Zelensky understands the national security strategy of the US. It's basically transaction. Kailangan may kapalit na economic benefit for Trump and the US. No? So yun ang parang pinaka fundamental nitong security strategy. So if we're worried about the Philippines not being given due attention, maybe the President Marcos Jr. can also come up with some kind of economic offer, to make the Philippines a bastion of U.S. business, and indirectly provide the deterrence, security. It will. With the American investments comes the American guarantee of that it will protect that place, no?
Alam mo, Colonel Rodney, the biggest problem of the Philippines is that we don't have the rare earth, which is very important for the US, because the rare earth is controlled by China, and some countries in the region like Malaysia has big deposits of rare earth, na ginagamit sa mga computer chips, and I think that is the center of the strategy of the US in the Indo-Pacific. That's why they wanted to protect Taiwan, because Taiwan produces 70% of computer chips, in the world. So we don't really have any leverage against the Americans in terms of semiconductors and rare earth, So that's one problem.
May isa tayong classified as rare earth, yung nickel, It's used for battery, so at least we have one, yung nickel.
Relative to that, I would like to add talking about natural resources, we are all agreed that the Philippines is a very rich country in terms of natural resources, di ba? So I'm sure we have many minerals and resources to offer if the affairs of our state of the Philippine state are handled properly, I think. Now, and then we go to the issue of massive corruption in the Philippines, which is all over the news, right? So, syempre, kung tanungin mo ang Amerika, ang sasabihin nila, wala silang pambili ng kailangan nilang critical weaponry to fight for their territorial integrity. Pero tingnan mo naman sila, pinagati-hatian nila yung pera ng they're all billionaires. So see, makikita mo yung if you're the Americans, you would probably say na you can be sarcastic and go as far as saying that these Filipinos, they say that they do not have money. The truth is they do have money, except that they're pocketing it. So they do not have something that will advance the national security of the Philippines. But so parang ganun yan di ba? Ang naipit ang Pilipinas If you are the current leader of you'll probably, this is where you'll say na siguro Amerika baka pwede nyo kaming tulungan dito sa domestic problem namin. How do we end corruption in our country so that we can pull more of our resources towards advancing our national security rather than pinagati-hatian lang ng mga corrupt politicians tong public funds here. See, di ba, isn't that a critical issue with regards to the Philippines? So I don't think we can be taken seriously if that is our situation. Siyempre, it is to the interest of the United States to keep the Philippines relative to China, even with Taiwan and everything else. So, siyempre, nandiyan yung Pilipinas even if it's not really mentioned in the NSS, but kasi una-una it's part of the First Island chain. And it really is strategically positioned between Western Pacific and the South China Sea. So talagang whether anybody likes it or not, the Philippine archipelago is really a strategic country, So syempre, gusto ng Amerika na kanya rather than ibigay niya I don't think the US can afford to lose the Philippines to China. So nilalaro niya ang Pilipinas. Ang Pilipinas naman, wala naman, at least under the current administration, wala siyang choice kundi, I would rather, be with the United States rather than, if the wind shifts to the Dutertes, with di ba, merong reason na they really want to use the corruption issue against BBM and they were hoping na mapalitan as if the Sara Duterte is the better choice, right? But syempre alam natin na so fair yun. It wasn't successful. So yun yung ngayon and it will remain to be so. Yun ang ko dyan, Manny, Rodney, di ba?
Yeah.
So I agree, Colonel, na yung corruption issue has really affected our standing, Kasi imagine if we are losing 300 to 400 billion, to corruption sa infrastructure projects alone, that could go a long way in buying defense equipment, Because under the modernization fund next year, 2026, they only allocated around 40 billion pesos. And that money, all of that money will only go to paying amortization of the past equipment that we acquired from South Korea, Israel, and Indonesia. We don't have new money to buy new equipment, new projects. So we need at least 100 billion a year, because BBM has a wish list of about 1.8 trillion pesos, like submarines, fighters, missiles, So talagang malaki ang pangailangan natin, And we are part of the First Island chain, which is sadly we are the weakest link. And so Trump is urging South Korea, Australia, and Japan to increase their defense spending by to 5% of their GDP. That would go a long way, not only in burden sharing, but I think it's burden shifting. Kasi yung US has wala nang pera Wala nga tayong nakuhang equipment from the US na bago, And Japan is offering us destroyer escorts and the surveillance plane, and even surface to air missiles, no? I think Japan is now the biggest donor of the Philippines, apart from the US. At tingin niyo ba ganun din, Rodney, Colonel? Let's start with Colonel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true kasi sa national security strategy ni President Trump. He's trying to shift the resources nga to his backyard, no, to the Caribbean. So the Philippines should not expect really too much military aid, no, as far as the FMF and FMS is concerned. I think what Trump is foreseeing, actually anticipating, is that Japan and South Korea will fill the void in helping the Philippines, because the US is preoccupied elsewhere, no? According to President Trump's own understanding of American security. So the Japan will really have to fill the void, kasi it's like NATO, no? Yung the US has already indicated that Ukraine cannot expect President Trump to provide too many additional weapons for him. Trump is actually shifting the burden to NATO, to the Europeans, no? President Trump is saying na you should help Ukraine because this is a European problem. The same thing with Asia, no? He is telling through this NSS, he is telling Japan and South Korea that this is an Asian problem. So you better help the Philippines. So ang problema lang is Japan is still legally, constitutionally, I think, and legally restricted from providing lethal military equipment, no? To other countries. So that's going to be the challenge for Japan, and a little more, because I think South Korea now is one of our top armorer. They're providing the ships, they're supplying us with the ships, and although binabayaran natin yan, but still they are the source of our heavy military investments. They're thinking of that new high performance Korean jet, no? To yung katapat ng F-35. So that could be more expensive, but it's also South Korea, no? So I don't know kung may mga there are ways, especially with Japan and South Korea, there are creative ways to go about this.
Well, Randy Manny, we have to go back to the NSS ng Amerika, kasi wala tayong control dun sa gagawin ng mga ibang bansa, but we still have world leaders sila yung medyo nag-aano ngayon. Siyempre, we cannot deny na there's China there, there's Russia there, there's obviously US, no? Pero yun nga, like I said kanina, yung NSS nga, makikita mo doon na incoherent nga yung yung nangyayari, kasi nga contradictory nga yung nangyayari. Kasi the US is actually coming from a position of strength before Trump. Kaya yung maga-maga na yan, hindi ako naniniwala dyan. Maga lang yan according to the Republican Party, but they do not also see the strength of the Democratic Party. So makikita mo yung dyan nakikita natin, I think, na at crosshairs ang ngayon the traditional global moral order that we are used to, which was in effect from World War II up to the present time, or maybe until Xi Jinping, right? Pero ngayon, yung ginagawa ni Trump, nilalaro din nila ngayon yung, sige, okay, parang sa Quiapo kayo, sa Quezon City kami, parang gano'n Okay, Western Hemisphere, America, okay, NATO, Europe, dyan kayo, China. So these are conflicting though. Kasi makikita mo yung sinabi ko nga kanina, while kunwari peace si Trump, I don't even understand why they keep saying na puro mga peace initiative, samantalang ginigera mo yung Venezuela, di ba? and then you are selling arms to allies in the Asia Pacific to para labanan ang China. So there's a lot of contradiction there. So I think what we're seeing is that nilalaro-laro lang, minamanage. There's no, ang problema dito ngayon because of all probably the deluge of information nowadays because of technology. Talagang sabog talagang it's hard I think to really see what's going to happen with some certainty or accuracy within the next 5-10 years ganyan. I think what we're seeing now is that there's a lot of things happening in the world today. China asserting itself na we are in control, we are kasi dalawa na yung ano ngayon, if you look at even the global di ba financial infrastructure, dalawa na ngayon one led by China and the old na led by US. Dalawa na ngayon yan we cannot deny that na wala yan. It's there. Kaya na-challenge yung globe. So yung former dominance ng US na-challenge na talaga ng China. So US is like trying to keep what is left of its former dominance. Kasi di ba in Africa, in South America, in Latin America, kaya nga nagwawala sila Donald Trump doon kasi napabayaan nila yung region na yan di ba? And China was able to creep in and invest in infrastructures, harvesting minerals, bringing it back home, blah blah blah. And then biglang siyempre sabi ng Trump administration when it came over na pinabayaan kasi ng mga previous administration niya, pero ngayon ito na, we will do strong arm tactics. So yun ang ginagawa ni Trump, including ginagera nila yung Venezuela, but even that we are not sure that all of these things will really bear the fruits that they hope to achieve. Kasi even yung tariff, nakakaroon tayo ng problema dyan the US economy and other economies are not doing well because of that. Common sense lang yun di ba? Pagka binalik mo sa comparative advantage as a weaponized strategy in order to advance national security and interest, bumabalik ka sa time na na mga Amerika yung time na ngayon by going back to that, it is actually weakening itself, I think, rather than strengthening itself. Yung ginagawa niya na tariff war is only addressed to China yan but it's addressed to China lang yan, di ba? Pero China nga has already come up with an alternative trade partnerships So, di ba, mag-work ba yung strategy ng US kung ganon? I don't think so. If you read the literature kay China yung yung mga global south countries whether it is Africa or South America. Nawala na ang America doon playing catch up na lang ang America ngayon.
Yeah, and that's the point of Venezuela. It's not actually the drugs, no? Sabi nga parang si Duterte, drugs, pero it's not really the drugs. It's actually the oil and China,
drugs,
no?
But yeah.
Oil and China ang talaga.
Siyempre there's truth to that din kasi siyempre number one market naman talaga ng mga drug syndicates sa Amerika Di ba? Yeah. Talaga naman kaya nga daming mga addict dito sa Amerika di ba? Tambakan naman talaga yan So in that sense, sabihin mo na merong social cost kasi na sinuffer ang America for so long. But hindi lang 'yon kasi nga yun nga oil and there are some minerals na gustong i-harvest ng US sa Venezuela in the same manner that China is harvesting minerals all over the place. And at the same time, nagsasaywar ang Amerika, pinapakita niya na ito kami ginagamit iba na yung takbo ngayon. We have our professional military. Minsan naninibago din ako doon kasi parang you have your professional military na ginagawa na lang niya, parang LE, law enforcement na lang sa Venezuela. Tapos violation pa ng international rule of law because you're now invading other countries. Pero parang, di ba, parang you are setting a precedent na that is not progressive, it is regressive, di ba? Yung mga ganyang style, you do not know what is the effect of that down the road. Parang sinabi na, okay, pwede na naman yung Wild Wild West. Delikado yan maganda na nga yung world order Di ba, may order na nga pero ngayon bastusan na naman, parang mo sinasabi na kaya naming hindi sundin yung world order na kasi malakas kami. So that's what's happening now. And China
Parang allowing Russia to invade Ukraine and
And
China to take
bully
over
us.
Taiwan.
Saka
Si
yung
Trump
ano,
naman,
China,
si Trump
hindi
naman
na
ngayon
China.
is doing his own thing, di ba? Parang yung
Yeah.
ginagawa ng mga dating mga rogue non-democratic ginagawa na rin ni Trump ngayon. Di ba? Parang and then they make it appear na this is the new normal. Ganito na talaga. But the question is, ganyan ba talaga? I mean, even war, for instance. Ika,
Go-
si
going
Trump kasi hindi naman nakakaintindi hindi naman draft dodger nga si Trump eh. He does not respect the military. Binabastos nga lang niya yung mga military na na gaganda ng mga record dito sa Amerika, naaawa nga ako eh. So ginagawa niya parang mga utusan lang niya yung mga and then even the way di ba yung ginawa niya na pinatawag niya lahat ng commander all over the world in one meeting pagkatapos. I mean, what does that mean, di ba? Is it really the substance of the meeting? Hindi. It is to show na kayo, mga ko lang kayo, kung hindi kayo sumunod, you better follow me or ship out. Ganun lang kasimple yun. That was the message. Si Hegseth, sino ba si Hegseth? An remarkable fellow din si Hegseth but he's a yes man, he's a yes man to Trump. So, syempre, pero pag bumagsak ang Trump administration, syempre, pupulutin din yung mga yan. Ganun lang kasimple yan eh. Pero right now, and it's boiling. The pot is boiling in America when it comes to this administration. So maraming problema, Manny, Rodney. Even yung sinabi ni Trump na mangyayari talaga sa Middle East or Ukraine, did it actually happen according to he portrays himself as di mo maintindihan si Trump. Hindi ginigera niya yung Venezuela but at the same time Nobel Prize Peace Prize daw dapat siya.
Yung Peace Prize niya sa FIFA, yung football Peace Prize.
It's really amazing na si Trump is really, syempre maswerte siya kasi he comes around at that time talaga na he's benefiting from all the yung advancements ng Amerika. Talaga namang nakaano na yan eh. Binabago niya ang lahat, ginugulo niya ang lahat. So hindi ko alam kung saan papunta yan eh. Sa totoo lang, di ba? Yung maga-maga is not really making America great again because America was already great. It's making America weak.
Going back to the NSS, anong assessment nyo? Is America ready for another war or is the industrial base very strong to support a wartime effort?
Ang take ko talaga sa mga ganyan, Manny, ganito, okay, let's simplify it, no? Nuclear war. There are no winners in a nuclear war. So what is happening now is that all these political leaders, parang ginagamit nila yung nuclear arsenal as a bargaining chip for political, for political positioning, advancing national interest and security kuno, no? Pero and that is why okay lang sa kanila na sige wala na yung salt balik na ulit tayo sa let's manufacture. China is to yung ganun, but really they have no intention of doing that. They cannot use that because once any one of the powers use that, wala na. That's the end of the world. So the intent is we want to para nandyan lang yan so that we can bargain more and better and get more of what we want than the other party. Pero delikado din yan, Manny, Rodney, kasi parang yan yung parang sa umpisa ng Civil War, paano ba nag-umpisa ang American Civil War, di ba? Paano ba nag-umpisa yung Filipino-American War, di ba? Merong isang kabo dyan na nagkamali ng pindot or isang overzealous na sundalo na so doon manggagaling yung palagay ko, doon mai-ignite yung giyera. When that happens, I think leaders will finally find themselves na, oh my goodness, ano gagawin natin, di ba? Even kung wala na yun eh, yung magsasagutan lang kayo ng nukes flying all over the place, wala na yun. Tapos na yung laban pagka ganun. That's why it has got to be conventional. We're still talking about, even as we speak, di ba, yung mga wish list ng mga these are all conventional weapons. Napapag-usapan yung pero in reality kung magkakagera talaga ay hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na conventional lang yan. Mawawala yung conventional na yan pagka talagang somebody will decide na But so far, yun nga, alam naman ng lahat na walang mananalo sa nuclear ano kasi that's why but they continue to use it and it's getting reckless though. The conversations are getting reckless. It is almost as if hindi mangyayari yung ano, di ba? Yung nuclear ignition. Which is to me parang ano yun ah. Ang daming armed na ano, they're all over the place, di ba? Nasa subs, nasa land, nasa air. Ano all of these tactical warheads are ano easily deployable. So, yun ang ano if we put and if you have incompetent leaders even of big nations like strong nations like Trump, medyo delikado. Yan ang problema sa
yung NSS for me, no, is a reflection of America's concern about China. China not only in Asia but all around the world, no. Kaya nga siguro the national security strategy focuses on the Caribbean and Latin America because that's where the Chinese inroads are strongest. The Panama Canal is now run by a contractor that has links to China. So yung inroads ng China in Central and Southern America is such that they only have room to grow. It will only grow unless you stop it. And I think this is the national security strategy is focused partly on that, no, to stop the inroads of China and possibly push them back to Asia, no. That's why there are two main focuses of the security strategy. The Monroe Doctrine-like focus on the America's backyard, and the focus on Taiwan, no? Because Taiwan is the fulcrum of Chinese activities in our part of the world, man, no? In Asia Pacific. Ang actually ang Taiwan naman talaga ang focus diyan. That's the South China Sea and the other issues are peripheral to Taiwan because if Taiwan is invaded, then that South China Sea corridor will be useless because mababara na yung sea lanes papunta ng Japan and South Korea. So it's really Taiwan, no. So I think the security strategy is to stop China. Yun ang parang pinaka essence ng strategy na yun. And all the others, you asked if America is ready for. Well, I don't think so because like for example, Taiwan still has already paid for Abrams and F-16s and Patriots. Pero hanggang ngayon, hindi pa na-deliver because there's a long backlog of from Northrop and all the other Lockheed, all the other big arms manufacturers to America. There's a backlog, no? They cannot fill all the orders immediately. Kasi number one, yung rare earth naman, medyo kasi this equipment have components that need rare earth and hindi unlimited ang supply ng rare earth for the US. They have to source it. Kaya nga even if they wanted to ramp up production, just in case, no? If the war clouds get darker and thicker, that America sees the need to ramp up production of its top weapons, they still cannot do it, man, because there are limitations to it. So, for now, I think the national security strategy is basically a strategy to contain China. And
pero looking forward, no, is the Philippines playing its role in the first island chain? Because obviously South Korea and Japan are very capable, They have the capability, and Taiwan also has the capability. But the Philippines, I don't think, has the capability. And the 9 EDCA bases that the US has in the Philippines are not yet ready. No, if you look at the bases in in Cagayan, no, there is nothing there. No, so the US is now asking Australia and Japan and even Taiwan to invest in these bases, to build structures, to build facilities, so that the Philippines would be ready when the time comes that there will be a conflict in the region, because the Philippines is very, very close to Taiwan. No, uh, do you share that concern that the Philippines is not yet ready to play its role in the logistics side when a conflict arises in the region? What do you think, Colonel?
Uh, I think the Philippines has added on some capabilities that it didn't have before. So meron namang, I think, from what I've seen, from what they've had before. Pero syempre nandiyan pa rin yung perennial na ano talaga eh. It's still kulang pa rin kumbaga. And that is
Mhm.
why any help from allies are really welcome, and nangyayari naman yun. So that's a good thing. Kaya lang, yun nga, the issue there, if there are people who don't really understand yung mga ganyan, lagi nababanggit for instance yung interoperability, because para mong madaling sabihin na, weapon systems, communication systems, intelligence systems are all compatible regardless of the country, right? But it's not. Pagka, for example, even in a theater war na maraming countries ang involved, siyempre, yun dapat ang concentration sa mga exercises na ginagawa ng Pilipinas, kung if they are really able to accurately simulate potential scenarios. For example, yung sa ano pa lang, yung sa compatibility ng communication, intelligence sharing, right? Yung mga ganyan. Especially on a tactical level. For example, pagka ginam ka na dyan and all that, how will you go around that to be able to communicate? Because if weapon systems are not coordinated, are not supporting one another, sometimes yung aggressors like the Chinese, they do have that confidence that because of that they will be able to they have the confidence that they will be able to subdue their enemies. Yung sa communication pa lang, pag ginamnan nila and hindi na nakakapag-usap-usap yung mga allies, then they're able to isolate Taiwan and do their thing. Mga ganun ba? And syempre, they're all connected, di ba? If your intel is not functioning smoothly with your weaponry, with your command and control, syempre magkakagulo yan. The machine will not be coherent. For example, the Philippine military, how coherent is it? We are an archipelago, right? So saan ang focus? How are we communicating? Where's the center of gravity? Where is the main effort? Where is the support effort? Archipelago eh, mahirap yung terrain natin. Yung mga gano'n, ang dami yan eh, maraming considerations yan eh. So I hope that the Philippine military is really on top of it. So of course, it's easy enough na syempre right now critical talaga ang Batanes, Ilocos, Palawan, because nandiyan yung towards malapit sa Taiwan, and of course kaya nga may military base yung China sa sa Spratlys, because that is the closest that they could put up something like that near Taiwan. Kung kaya nga lang nilang maglagay sa siguro gagawin nila yan eh, maybe kaya lang but it's already close enough. So siyempre nakikita ng US yun. So the US sees the geopolitical strategic defense military importance of the Philippine archipelago. That is why kahit papaano, whether sabi nyo nga, whether it is serious or token, yung footprint will have to be there, because psychologically kasi ano pa rin may respeto pa rin yung China sa Amerika na ayaw niya masyadong banggahin because maybe it thinks na it is still not at par with the military strength of the US right now. So, di ba, like for example, in Panama Canal, pumayag yung consortium doon naman ibalik ulit sa American control yung Panama Canal. Hindi na masyadong umangal yung China because ang thinking nila is that sige, we do this for you because this is your sphere of influence, the Western Hemisphere, right? Kami naman, pagbigyan nyo kami doon sa amin, sa South China Sea. Doon kayo. So, yun na naglalaro. That is the contradictory situation that I mentioned earlier because naglalaro nga ang America, especially under Trump, na parang nawawala na parang almost tinatanggap na nila na wala na talaga yung global order na sila yung dating hari. And so now they are parang passive, in a way symbolically accepting na, okay, we are okay with global power sharing, China, America, maybe even a little bit of Russia, ganyan. But since gusto pa ng Amerika na maging dominant sana kung pwede pa, the rhetoric is contradictory. Because while you talk of peace, also into war. Diba? While you talk of not supporting NATO, but you also have NATO mentioned 48 times in your NSS. Diba? While the Philippines is actually strategic to the US, even if its name is the country's name is not on the NSS, still it does not mean the Philippines is not important to the US. That part siguro si Trump na yon kasi may kahalo ring nuance and idiosyncrasy yung American leadership ngayon It's like having a leader like Adolf Hitler whose personality is so strong, right? So kahit nga yung mga magagaling na generals sila like sila Erwin Rommel, they could not even if they're saying na sir no, they wouldn't listen to them. So ganun ang sitwasyon So we have those dynamics happening. But America should also be careful about firing all of these competent military leaders that it has now whose competencies and wisdom have been developed through the years. Dahil lang sa ego and nagbabanggaan kayo politically, you let them go. Delikado rin yun because you get yourself a bunch of yes men who are yes men, but they are not the best that you have because you have gotten rid of the best that you have. Dahil bilib ka lang sa sarili mo, ayaw mo makinig sa mga magagaling na tao mo That's the problem.
Ronnie, what's your take?
Yeah, yung Philippines I think is trying, no? It's but it's still very early, late kasi masyado ang Philippines na to get into this game, no, for the in external defense. So it's still catching up. So, 'di ba, ang importante is because of the change in leadership, the Philippines finally has the will to resist China. No? It has discarded the Duterte doctrine. It's better to be friends with China than to be a protagonist. So under President Marcos Jr., he has embraced the idea that the Philippines is part of a larger security apparatus. No? Yung first island chain nga. No? It's a recognition that the Philippines has a role to play there. And President Marcos has shown his readiness to fulfill that role. Now, sabi ko nga dati, di ba, yung deterrence is capability, credibility, and communication. So, right now, ang Philippines is only in the building up of the capability. Yung credibility is still, I would say, little a few years more down the road, no? But it is communicating, no? It is the one thing that the Philippines is very good at is communication. And that part of the three-pronged deterrent strategy is effective for the Philippines to the point that even the U.S. has echoed, no, the same lines of attack as far as communication is concerned in countering China. So
Mhm.
saka yung NSS, I think if you has been described as a Monroe Doctrine, no? The Monroe Doctrine Manny, is if we Colonel, if I'm not mistaken, no, the Monroe Doctrine is basically focused on the Western Hemisphere. Sabi ni President Monroe na wag na makikialam to mga Europeans sa South America, sa Caribbean, no? This is a American backyard. But that doctrine was also used to invade the Philippines, no? Because the Monroe Doctrine was used to drive out the Spanish, no? Kasi may mga colonial holdings pa in Spain, no?
Mhm.
Nadamay yung pag-atake sa Cuba, nadamay yung Pilipinas, no? So hindi natin masasabi kung we cannot really determine if this Trump strategy is really just for the Western Hemisphere, because from experience it was used to expand American colonial holds to the Western Pacific, no? Ang layo ng inabot from Western Hemisphere to the Pacific. So the concept of a Philippines that is part of the American strategy is, I think it will continue to be that, no? Although hindi na tayo sigurado how much we can expect from the Americans, but I think tama si Colonel, no? You don't have to be mentioned in a document to recognize the strategic value of a territory like the Philippines, no? Kasi
Okay.
tama nga yung inherently, no, yung mahirap i-defend ng Philippines eh. Now if you are able to build an adequate, no, it's not superior but an adequate defense, now it will force China to divert forces, no, that would otherwise been concentrated on Taiwan, because they cannot let, like for example, the Ilocos region, kung nandun na yung mga EDCA, nandun na yung mga missile ng US and other countries, they cannot let that be, no? Hindi nila pwedeng sabihin na that's not our primary objective, so let's ignore that. They cannot do that. So they will have to devote resources to neutralize that if they really want to invade Taiwan. So in that way, the Philippines can be the porcupine, no? That is the best that the Philippines can be, is a porcupine. No crazy superpower would want to swallow it, no?
Kaya nga parang
Okay.
delikado rin
So,
yung ano eh. Yeah. Ano, Manny?
yes, Colonel.
I was
Kasi
just gonna add
sa
kaya nga delikado rin yung ginagawa nga ng ano eh. Para bang, okay, nagiging aggressor nga yung China, bully even sa South China Sea, right? Tapos in-invade ng matagal nang in-invade ng Ukraine, Russia ang Ukraine. And now si Trump naman is doing his own thing. Parang gusto na niyang i-invade ng Venezuela. So parang if we go back to the South China Sea, isn't that yun nga doon yung mga contradictory nga na ano eh, kasi para mo sinasabi na you're encouraging China to invade Taiwan with what you're doing, right? But at the same time, may ginagawa ka rin na supposedly to help allies from preventing that from happening. So makikita mo yung ano doon, yung contradiction na it's not clear anymore. Yung dating leadership ng Amerika sa mundo na ito kami yung champion ng liberal democracy, kami yung champion ng majority rule or rule of law, moral order, truth, ganyan, wala na eh. So in a world like that, it's like there's no more difference between Xi Jinping and Trump and Vladimir Putin is what we are seeing. Now, isipin natin yung ginagawa ngayon ng the lady Prime Minister of Japan. Oh, mabuti pa yun. Japan, para makikita mo yung consistency ng Japanese leadership in the current leader, wherein she's standing up to China, di ba? There is this tiny island near Taiwan na malayo nga sa Japan, pero it starts the island chain of Japan. And talagang nag-embrace na sila ng mga talaga doon, panggyerang depensa. That tiny island there, as well as the biggest island near Taiwan, near China. So there's the resolute action na sige, we have not, wala kaming what Japan is saying is that we have no choice here. We are ready to go to war. If that's so, if you invade Taiwan, then we will have to go to war against China too, because that will impact our national interest and security. Yun ang Japan. And so that's good because it will send a signal to other allies na they will not allow that to happen, right? Yung Pilipinas naman, yun, in a way, kahit na mahina tayo, yung mga ginagawa natin na labanan ang China, that's kind of good too because by doing that, nakukuha natin yung simpatya ng lahat na rule of law loving countries in the region as well as in the world. That's why we're also getting support from Europe. Yun naman lang naglalaban dito na
before we end this podcast, gusto ko lang yung final word nyo on what to expect in 2026 in the region around the Philippines security-wise. Unahin natin si Rodney.
Okay. Yeah, sa akin, kasi 2026 will be the year of the fire horse, no? So, biglaan na raw to eh. There will be mga events raw dito, magugulat na lang tayo, no? Mga elements ng fire and the horse. So, I think there will be surprises next year, no? We don't know what that will be, but all this talk about corruption, about China threat, and what the Trump security strategy is, all this tingin ko will evolve, no? Will evolve in such a way that it will be unexpected. So I think 2026 will be a positive year for the Philippines, despite all the things that's going on there. But sabi nga nila, the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. So siguro the people in Malacanang and Campo Aguinaldo would be wise to be on their toes, no? The China will certainly try to become more aggressive, no? As the US increases its presence in the area. Kasi sabi nga dun sa national security strategy is there should be like a military overmatch, no? That's the term they use. So the US will try its best to have to enjoy a military superiority in the region, in the Asia Pacific region, and that will be matched by China certainly. So let's just hope na walang mga miscalculation, accidental, baka mag-collide. So that's may masaktan, and that will set off a different set of events.
Yeah. Thank you, Rodney. Colonel, anong prognosis nyo?
Yeah, well, siguro siyempre, yung mga mangyayari sa 2026 will be will be an offshoot of what's already at play, di ba? In all aspects.